Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel and Grizzly Bear Farms. We are back again for another episode here on Stevie's wonderful Goldcrest edit. And it is a brand new day here on our farm. It is late summer, game day 6, and we're just going to kind of jog over here and get in our tractor with our auger wagon. If you look up in the upper right hand corner up where it says late summer day 6, 6:25 in the morning, you see that cloud with that stuff coming out of it. Yeah, that looks like we might have some rain in the forecast. So we need to get started, and we need to get started quick because we have a lot to do for this particular game day 6. So welcome back. I appreciate you coming back for another video. Hope you all are having a wonderful, wonderful month of December. Today on the real day, it is the 2nd of December. I'm a little ahead on video production, video recording and video production, so you're watching these things, well, maybe about a week in advance, or I'm sorry, about a week ahead of the actual recording date. I'll spit all that out here in a minute and make it sound good for you. And we're headed over to some of these fields over back on the other side of the river. Yep, the 900 Vario does need to be refueled, but I think it will get through the job that it's currently doing without too much of a problem. Yes, Courseplay, the official version of Courseplay is out. I am so excited. It is working, as far as I can tell, it's working flawlessly. I've got it, actually the 900 Vario is seeding a field in oilseed radish. And we are also running Courseplay here in our diesel truck here, and we've just got a regular worker hired for harvesting the canola. So hopefully we'll catch up to our harvester here in plenty of time. Let's just pop out a cab here. Yeah, it's only 40%. So we've got the full crew working today. We've got Billy Bob running the harvester. Jim Bob is running the truck down there. He's waiting for us to dump. And then we've got Stan, who is doing some seeding this morning as well. And again, we're trying to get as much of this done as possible before any sort of weather comes into the Goldcrest Valley area. So yeah, Courseplay, I tell you what, we have been waiting for this for over a month. If you follow mod news and such, you may have known that the developers of Courseplay were invited by Giants to come out the week of the release of Farm Sim 17 to basically see firsthand and also gain some assistance from the Giants developers on helping to sort of maybe escalate or fast track getting Courseplay ready for 17. And so, you know, a little over a month after the release of Farm Sim 17, we have an official beta copy, but at least it's official. It's from the Courseplay folks. It's not a unauthorized hack of the Courseplay for Farm Sim 15 that's been put on websites that is causing folks to, you know, lose their game saves and all that kind of stuff. This is direct from the guys that develop Courseplay, and of course you can get that from their GitHub website. You'll find the link to that in my mod list. And again, it is very much beta, but as far as I can tell, and again, I've just done limited stuff with it. I've got a tractor and seeder that is seeding a field, and I've actually done 2 fields. The first field I set up to do I'm sorry about that. The first field I set up to do seeding, and it did a fine job. And the second field I've done some fertilization, and that worked as well. Plus I also recorded a course for Jim Bob to run in our diesel semi there, hauling the canola and the soybeans that we'll get off these 2 fields today back to the main farm. And that has also worked quite well. So Courseplay, as far as I can tell, is doing everything that it is supposed to be doing here in Farm Sim 17, at least from what I've tested it. There'll be obviously other needs that we will configure it to do, and we will do that in short time. Let's just teleport and go check on our seeder. There we go. So this is our 900 Vario Fent running. It's seeding oilseed radish for fertilization purposes. And you can tell here we've got our headland. We're doing headlands last. The first field that we tested, we actually did the headlands first. This one we have set it up to do 2 headlands last, which would probably be a little bit more realistic. And it's working just fine. Saved the course. I was able to set up folders, subfolders to organize things. So as I set up additional things for Courseplay to handle, like fertilization, maybe cultivating, plowing, whatever, I can organize those by field. And Courseplay backs them right up and drops the seeder, and off they go. And we'll refuel this guy whenever we're getting back to the farm. And then we'll bounce back down here. Of course, you can automate pretty much everything with Courseplay should you want to do that. I like to use Courseplay. I'm certainly not against it. I have before done a lot of automation through Courseplay, or I've done just a little bit. It's all up to you. However you want to farm, it's up to you. I do wonder if we're going to see auto combine. I had read, and I believe it was Mike Reefy 1952 that had put me onto this, but I believe the mod developer behind Auto Combine and Auto Tractor had posted in his GitHub forums, I believe, the fact that he was having some difficulties in sort of getting Auto Combine, specifically Auto Combine, because I think that's really what everyone was looking for. He was having difficulty in the way that Giants has basically developed 17, the differences between 15 and 17, and how Auto Combine functions and such, that he was having some difficulties in more or less understanding that process and being able to get Auto Combine to work with 17. And I believe he was specifically looking to see what the courseplay folks did in adjusting courseplay to function with 17. So hopefully, Auto Combine will still be available for 17 at some future date. I would certainly hope that it would be. I think that Auto Combine is certainly, I mean, you can do combine functions with courseplay. You can you can certainly do that. As I pointed out earlier, I just hired just a regular AI worker to run the combine, because these are nice square fields and they've got plenty of open space on the end, so we didn't have to necessarily worry about trees or other obstacles being in the way. But in my experience with maps that have somewhat irregular shaped fields, Auto Combine worked a lot better than the typical hire a worker as far as Farming Sim 17, or I'm sorry, Farming Sim 15 is concerned. Let's see if I can. Well, I wish that. I can drive outside of the cab. I cannot drive more or less looking at the front of the vehicle while I drive outside of the cab. There we go. That'll be good enough for a thumbnail, I think. Yeah, these lines in the field, you may have remembered I talked about that a couple of episodes ago. Here we have another one that looks like it's got some new growth of something growing in there. Best I can tell, it's because of the growth manager. I think that was when I noticed it, but I also noticed it in Farm Sim 15. And we're just going to hop out here and we're going to run over here, and I think we can sell some eggs over here. We're going to see if they want some eggs. And in Farm Sim 15, of course, I didn't have the growth manager mod. I used soil mod, and I saw those weird lines there as well. So $906 in eggs, not too bad, not too bad. And to be quite honest with you, I don't want to take a risk on removing the growth manager mod and having something, having it reset our cycles or anything like that. So it's okay. I'm going to just live with it. I don't think it's something with Stevie's maps. Obviously, I'm still running the older version of Goldcrest Valley, Stevie's edit. I've not updated, and I believe he's released even yet another update to Goldcrest Valley. Again, not updated. So we are running 1.3.1 of Farm Sim 17, and these lines and everything in the field were here before the update to 1.3.1. So it doesn't matter to me. you know, maybe we're losing a small amount of yield because of it, but it's going to be very, very minor. Not a lot of canola. Let's see, is this going to be his last pass, maybe? Yep, looks like that. Alright, well, looks like Stan has finished his work, so we will zoom down there in a bit and help Stan get back to the main farmyard. I finally figured something out. I wasn't using shuttle control as part of the drive control feature because I like to do as much without using a keyboard as possible, and so the shuttle control by default was the space bar, I believe. Yeah, I think it was a space bar. And so I finally figured out, and I don't know why I didn't think of it before, even with Farm Sim 15, but I figured out how to get the shuttle control to work off of my Logitech G27 gear shift handle. I didn't want to necessarily assign a button to it. I really wanted to use the gear shift function, and so I can, let me just pull up here and get him to move his pipe out and go ahead and empty into our auger here. And so yeah, I can move the gear shift handle down into what would be the reverse position, or I mean it's in 1, 2, maybe like 4th gear or something. It's in the middle slot, and yeah, it goes into reverse, and likewise I can push it forward and it will go into forward. So that's pretty cool. I'm sure some of you guys had already figured that out well before. Why is that messed up? Pipe out is O. Remembered that. That's weird. And we will quickly just teleport to our combine. And move him over here and get him started on these soybeans. I don't know why my F1 menu is messed up. Unless there's an old version of a mod or something, but no, it wasn't causing any problems earlier. What is this? No, that's not soybeans. That is barley, it looks like. I'm going to turn my swath on. Yep, sure it does. Okay. I'll hire a worker and let him do that. And then we'll jump over to our truck here. And we're going to go ahead and do drive now and let him go ahead and haul that down to the main farm. And back over here we go. Okay, we'll probably have a little bit more work to do with this being barley. Hopefully the yield will be relatively high. We're going to go ahead and leave a swath for this, and probably we're probably going to bale it, to be quite honest, because well, you know, baling is fun. So 20%, he should be okay for a little bit. We will go down here stop the driver and close out of course play and drive him back to the farm. Hopefully with course play, we won't have any funny business with the way that I was seeing some of the AI sowing and fertilizing fields, leaving huge chunks more or less missing. And it's almost as if the AI thought that that portion of the field had already been planted or fertilized, and they would stop and then turn and move. And hopefully with course play, they will just run the course and seed, even if they're seeding on top of, if it thinks that the field has already been seeded. I don't know why that would be the case, but that's just what I have seen with this particular map. Not sure if it may be a mod that's causing it, or it may just be one of the little missing bugs that Stevie didn't catch with this particular version of the map. I'm not sure, but it's going to be fine. We'll turn our headlights off and we'll go ahead and pull in. All right, while he's refueling, we will go down here and get ready to empty our first load of barley for the season. Hopefully Jim Bob will get back soon with the tipper, the semi. And there he is. Speak of the devil. And I just set up one course to provide access for both of these fields. That way, no need to set up multiple courses. Let's see, what else have I been doing? So I've been talking about, a few episodes ago, I talked about the fact that, and I've talked about this in more than just a few episodes, but I have shared, and if you've spent any time reading my blog, you know that flight simulation is also a passion of mine. I enjoy it very much. And so X-Plane version 11 just came out, and I'm not an X-Plane enthusiast at all. A few months ago, well, I think back in the summer, early summer, I purchased X-Plane version 10 through Steam because I just kind of wanted to see what it was about. I've been a Microsoft Flight Simulator enthusiast from the very beginnings of Microsoft, the franchise, Microsoft Flight Simulation or Simulator franchise. Before that, I was flying computer-based simulations on the Commodore 64 back in the early 1980s. And I got started on PC side of things in the early 1990s and have been using Microsoft Flight Simulator since then. And so I thought, well, let me try X-Plane. Let me see what it's about. I've seen some videos. I know that supposedly, depending on who you talk to, some will say that X-Plane has better flight dynamics than either Microsoft Flight Simulator or P3D, which basically P3D or prepared is just essentially a graduated version of FSX. It's basically, the history of P3D. If you know anything about this, then you already know that P3D was essentially Microsoft's professional side of flight simulation. And so they've enhanced it, they've fixed it. I think P3D version 1 was kind of FSX with some enhancements, some small fixes for stability and things like that. P3D version 2, 2.x whatever, was more enhancements, more features. P3D version 3 is really where we've started to get into a better performing simulator, something that is capable. It's still 32-bit, unfortunately. Well, anyway, X-Plane was the first flight simulation application to come out in 64-bit. So, I applaud them for doing that. We should have had 64-bit flight sim program well before now. But unfortunately, because FSX was kind of the last of the line of the true flight simulators, Microsoft Flight was not really a flight simulator. It was more of an arcade game. But I digress. So with X-Plane version 10 a few months ago, I didn't like it at all. The UI, oh my God, I mean, the user interface looked like it was developed in 1995. Very, very non-intuitive. I mean, I spent probably 2 hours in the game, and I purchased it through Steam, and I did it that way for a reason, because I'm like, okay, Steam has a money-back guarantee. As long as you request a refund in a certain amount of time, and you've only have so many hours in the game, and I don't remember what those specifics are, but then you can request a refund, and they will basically grant that. And so I got it, installed it, tried it out. I spent a couple of days and about 2 game hours or so in X-Plane, and said, I've had enough. Threw my hands up in the air and said, I'm going back to P3D. And so last week, X-Plane version 11 in public beta was released. And although I did not purchase it through Steam because it's not yet available through Steam, I did purchase it outright. And because I saw enough videos, I saw a video by Squirrel, he did one. A few other people have done videos on X-Plane version 11. I saw what the UI looked like in advance. I saw what the default game scenery and all of that stuff looked like in advance. And I thought, okay, well, I really want to see the other side of flight simulation. I want to see something other than the Microsoft stuff. And I don't know what the future of flight simulation is, as far as who holds the keys to that. I've shared my opinions on this subject multiple times on my blog site. If you want to go to grizzlybearsims.com and look under the flight sim category, you can read some of the things that I've talked about. One of the biggest concerns that I have with regards to flight sim and the P3D piece of it is that P3D does not license, Lockheed Martin does not license Prepared for personal home entertainment use. Now, if you look through the fine print, if you read their end user license agreement, the EULA, then you will see that they have a license for professionals and an academic license and such, and really and truthfully they don't offer a license for the way that I enjoy computer-based flight simulation. I'm not a professional, I'm not a student, and I'm not a developer. So, as it sort of stands, I'm in violation of the license agreement. And so is everyone else who is not a student, not a professional, and not a developer. So, and the reason why that is because, again, back to what I said earlier, that Lockheed Martin purchased the Microsoft Flight Simulator that Microsoft was marketing to professionals, to airlines or whatever. And so Microsoft did not sell their personal side of things. That was granted access to Dovetail Games. So Dovetail Games, a couple of years ago, basically got the rights and the intellectual property, I guess all the code and everything for FSX to be able to market, create, and put on Steam the FSX Steam Edition. And of course, you know, lawyers have not come to knock on people's door that are basically running P3D that's only doing it for personal entertainment reasons, nor do I think that they ever will. But at some point, you know, we all sort of have an investment. We have an investment in P3D, the professional license, which I purchased because that was what I could best put myself in, the category I could put myself into was $200. $200. Now, thankfully, most of my scenery that I have purchased over the years for FSX is compatible with P3D, or the developers of that scenery, that payware scenery, have developed versions for P3D, and it's not cost me anything. The only thing that I've had to buy twice, more or less, if that's how you want to look at it, has been the PMDG aircraft. So I've purchased the 737 and the 777 for P3D because the FSX versions won't work in P3D. I can talk about that until I'm blue in the face, and I'm not gonna, because you've all tuned in to watch a farm sim video, and I've spent the majority of the time talking about flight sim. But I was describing what I've been doing, and so that's what I've basically been doing. I purchased X-Plane 11, the public beta. I've been testing it. I've been flying mostly the Cessna 172, just kind of low and slow, and enjoying myself. And I've also done some P3D flights in the PMDG 737, and I may actually do some recordings. I may put a few videos out. It's not going to dominate my channel in any means, because again, I realize that most people have subscribed because of Farm Sim. That's what, you know, probably 90% of my content is related to Farm Sim. I've got a few Truck Sim videos, but everything else is Farm Sim. So we will see how it goes. But I will say, just a little bit of a comparison here, is that another reason why I wanted to look at X-Plane, especially wanted to look at X-Plane 11, again because of everybody is raving about it, is the fact that with Farm Sim and Truck Sim, both ATS and ETS2, the time that I spend playing Farm Sim, whether it be 15 or 17, and of course now everything is 17. I haven't touched Farm Sim 15 in over a month, okay? But it is stress-free. It is mostly problem-free. I've got some little quirky issue there with the controls, and I don't know why. Let me just see if I can, let me see what happens if I step out. Is it still, no, that works. All right, well, something's not right, and I'll investigate this later. But anyway, for the most part, it is trouble-free. It is stress-free. It is, you know, I can basically come down to my basement office. I can turn on my gaming machine. I can sit down. I can fire up ETS2, ATS, Farm Sim 17. I can, if I'm going to record, I can bring up OBS, and I can click start recording, and I can start playing, and I can start talking to you, and I can have fun. And it's about the way that I described it. With Flight Sim, sometimes there's issues, sometimes there's errors, sometimes there's, P3D crashes to desktop. And out of memory, I've been in the IT world for a long time. And obviously I knew what an out of memory error was, but I've never encountered it in my professional life because the types of systems that I've supported over the years have, not been, like gaming applications or high intense stuff. And quite honestly, even though I've been flying computer sims for a very long time, until I sort of got interested in PMDG aircraft and sort of maybe going a little bit overboard with add-on scenery, complex scenery, I had never encountered an out-of-memory error and never a crash of Windows because of an out-of-memory error. And so that's the problem, is that sometimes, like last night, for example, I came downstairs. I wanted to fly my PMDG 737. I wanted to do a quick flight. I flew from Denver to Albuquerque. Didn't have a problem. Everything worked like it was supposed to. But that doesn't mean that maybe tomorrow, if I want to fly from Albuquerque to Dallas or something like that, that I might have a crash in the middle of the flight. Not an airplane crash, but a computer crash. And, it's somewhat frustrating because part of the fun, as far as I'm concerned, my opinion, of flight simulation is the flight planning, the preparation of the aircraft, and I promise I will stop talking about flight sim in just about 30 seconds. But it's the flight planning, it's the preparation of the aircraft, it's the takeoff, it's the climb out, a little bit of cruise. Cruise kind of gets boring because, let's face it, if you're flying a 737, the FMS, the computers and everything are handling that flight. And then of course it's the approach and obviously the landing and everything. Well, I can't tell you the number of times, and if you've spent any time yourself flying flight sim, and especially with add-on scenery, with complex aircraft, etc., you've probably encountered system crashes. And especially if you fly online, like on VATSIM, where you're flying into a large event and you're on final approach, you've got, you're 2 miles out, you can see the airport, it's been a perfect flight, and all of a sudden your computer locks up and it crashes because of an out of memory error or some other kind of unrecognizable error. It's frustrating. Farm sim, truck sim, it works. They're 64-bit applications. They perform quite well. I'm running 60 FPS. I will tell you that in flight sim, I am jumping up and down if I can average 20 to 30 FPS. And I've shared my thoughts on FPS before with you. I don't care what the number is, as long as it's smooth, as long as it's not looking like I'm sitting watching an old-fashioned slideshow. I don't really care what that number is. It could be 30, it could be 60, it could be 5,060. Doesn't matter to me as long as it's smooth, as long as the image is smooth, what I'm seeing is smooth, as long as it's all of its recording is smooth for you guys to watch. Doesn't matter to me. I'm not one of those guys that constantly sets and watches the frame rate counter and starts sweating when it drops to 58, 57, 55. I have spent too many years flying and using Microsoft Flight Simulator in flying, complex, high demanding aircraft and sceneries, and working with applications that are not optimized, applications like FSX, for example, that is what, 10 years or something old, and it's still, it's still going strong, but it's 32-bit. P3D is still 32-bit, and I'm going to stop talking about flight simulation. I could have easily just brought a tractor and tipper down here and just carted it back to the farm without doing the whole auger thing, but I kind of want to, I kind of want to test. I kind of want to test courseplay, not only for my own somewhat benefit, but as well as for the benefit of the courseplay guys, because the more of us that are helping to test courseplay, the better the application will end up being when it gets out of beta stage. That's how betas work, by the way. So I'm also looking at a couple of different maps. There, in recent days, we have had we are, well, either in the process of already having some cool maps released, or we are maybe just literally days. And remember, you're probably going to see this. This is Friday, the 2nd of December. You're probably going to see this video on the following Friday, which would be what, the 9th of December. But there's some very cool maps out. Eustace Farmer did a map tour of a map that I was really interested in, and I downloaded it contrary to my sort of my rule. I broke a rule. I broke one of my rules. I watched his video and I got really excited about a map called Old Streams, and it looks really super cool. But there's another map that I'm also interested in that Landy Kid showcased, that I saw one of his videos on as well. So really, the toss-up is between Old Streams and Lostberg. Lostberg is actually out. Lostberg is on the Mod Hub. I don't know if it's available for consoles or not. I'm assuming maybe it is, since it's on Mod Hub, but I don't have a console to test. I'm also interested in Chellington as well. But, oh, and by the way, Coleborough Park Farm is coming out eventually for 17, by the way. But back to Eustace Farmer. So Eustace, and I highly recommend checking out his YouTube page, or his YouTube channel. But so Eustace gave this demo of the Old Streams map, and I believe he recorded it maybe several days ago. And I've had a really horrendous week this week at work. They usually always are after a holiday. If you're sort of like me, you might be the only person that kind of does your job. And so I was off for Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving, and then the weekend, obviously. But, we're a global company, and nobody celebrates Thanksgiving outside of the United States. And so, issues occurred, and there was just problems. And anyway, I spent most of the week sorting all that kind of stuff out. But anyway, I was a little bit behind on my YouTube watching, and there's a few guys that I religiously watch everything that they put out. And Eustace Farmer, Reefy 1952, The Bipolar Prophet, Shawnee B. I mean, these are just guys that whatever they put out, they could record. Eustace Farmer could record um, a I don't know, a toaster toasting toast and narrate through it, and I would watch it because it would be that entertaining. Um, Mike Reefy 1952 could record his tea kettle, and narrate that, and I would watch it because it's just that good of content. And so anyway, Eustace showcased this old streams map, and it's very cool. It's a European map. Um, I was going to say it's British, but I distinctly remember seeing that they're driving on the right side, the correct side of the road. Now that'll get a comment out of Mike Reefy 1952 for sure, and maybe even Shawnee B. I love you guys, but um, yeah, the correct side of the road is the right side of the road. But anyway, so he's showcasing this map. I liked what I saw. It's version 1, but now today they released a version 1.01. Anyway, the cardinal rule that I broke was the fact that it's hosted on uploaded.net. If you're familiar with, mods that or mod authors that upload their stuff to uploaded.net, you know what I'm probably going to say. It's a scary site. I'm an IT guy. I know what is out there on websites, in the cloud, and all this kind of stuff. I run ad blocking software because I don't want to deal with ads. I use Google Chrome for about 99.9% of my web browsing activities, and I basically live ad free when it comes to browsing the web and such as that. Uploaded.net, obviously, you've either got to pay for an account, and it's not that I'm against paying for things. Obviously, I buy every piece of software, I buy it 100% legal and above board. I contribute to different things, I support different causes. I chip in. I've donated to the Courseplay guys before. I've donated to other things that are either flight sim related or farm sim related or whatever. And but uploaded.net, first of all, I'm not going to subscribe because I don't see the value of it, because actually it's too expensive. It's like $4.99 for 48 hours access, or it's like 35 or 36, $40 US or something for like 3 months. Well, that's pretty steep. But it's the pop-ups, it's the ads, and some of them are quite questionable. And you guys know the very first 5 seconds of every one of my videos talks about that my channel is always rated G. Now, I don't know if movie ratings around the world are rated the same. Like you have, PG-13, you have rated R, you have X-rated, whatever. Well, G-rated is sort of like Walt Disney, and not modern day Walt Disney, because they're pushing the envelope on a lot of things as well. I'm talking about like 1970 Walt Disney, Bambi and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Because I know that young people are interested in farm sim just like all of us old codgers are. And no, Mike, I wasn't singling you out when I said an old codger. So, but I don't curse in my videos. I don't talk about things that I try not to talk about things that aren't related to whatever the subject of the video is. And so, because I don't visit these kind of websites and this kind of stuff in real life. Well, anyway, if you want to download something from uploaded.net, you got to turn your ad blocker off, and then you start seeing these ads on the side of the page, and some of them are quite, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, opportunistic, you know, have young eyes and stuff like that. So um, anyway, but I wanted to try this map, and I don't know when I'm going to do any videos on it. I don't really know if I'm going to do a series on it. I kind of, it's right now, it's kind of wait and see. But I did download it through uploaded. It took like an hour to download it, because that's the other thing. If you're not a subscriber, then you get like, you know, download speeds equivalent of a, um, you know, 4800 baud modem or something, you know, from back in the 1980s. All right, let's fold our pipe back in. Let's get in the right gear. And he's going to drive that back, and we're going to go ahead and drive this back to the farm, and we'll leave the combine over there for now, because by the time we get back to the farm, it's going to be time to wrap this episode up. I have rambled on way too much and taken way too much of your time, but hey, we're having fun. We're doing some farming, talking about flight sim maybe a little bit too much, and I got on my soapbox and started talking about uploaded.net. But yeah. And you know something? I know that you can, and by the way, I turned traffic off just because I had some problems when I was doing my test with Courseplay with the semi crossing the highway. Um, it was hanging up on traffic, so I just turned traffic off for a little bit. But I forget what I was going to say. I just had a memory lapse, a short circuit. Anywho. We will drop this right here. Turn this guy off. Jump out, and we'll see. We'll watch Jim Bob drive the semi around. I need to talk to him about his speed. I love Courseplay. I do. All right, well, let's see. I'm gonna jump in him here because we can stop the driver, because we don't need him to go all the way back over there. And let's get rid of this. And let me check my F1 menu. Yeah, my F1. I'll see what happens after I restart the game. Oops. He wasn't empty. I guess when I jumped in him, he stopped unloading. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here, because we are almost at the 1 hour mark, and I really do try to keep the videos under 1 hour. And so I thank you for watching. I really do. We've picked up quite a few new subscribers in the last couple of weeks, and I am very thankful for each and every one of you who have subscribed and who have liked and commented on the videos. I try very hard to respond each and every comment or question or whatever the case might be. I believe that's important. After all, you're taking the time to ask a question or post a comment. I think that it is right for me to also take the time to go out and respond and acknowledge that. And so that's always my commitment to each and every one of you. So we do have a very busy day today. We're going to probably have 3 or 4 or maybe more videos out of this particular game day. Obviously, late summer, we're going to do some mowing. Hopefully our big field number 12, will be ready to cut. I haven't really gone up and looked at it, but hopefully it will be ready to cut today. If not today, maybe in early fall. Looking to get a lot of grass or a lot of hay bales out of that for our winter months. And I really appreciate you all watching, and I appreciate you coming back each and every time. And thank you. I just appreciate your friendship. I've made a lot of really great friends since I've started doing the YouTube videos. And so I just also want to remind each and every one of you that the contest over at PCSG is live. The forum thread is set up. All you got to do is go over there, register for an account at PCSG. It's absolutely free. And just reply to the thread that in tell us a little bit about what you think about cattle and crops, and you'll be entered for the drawing. We're giving away 3 copies of Cattle and Crops, and you won't want to miss out on that. So go over there and sign up for an account and say hi to all of us. Reefy 1952, Shawnee B, the Bipolar Prophet, myself, we're all members of PCSG. Eustace Farmer is as well. Eustace Farmer has his own site, and I'll just plug him because, hey, we're all in this together. There is no competition. Go over and check out 3dudesgn.com. That's a community, a forum that Eustace, as well as 2 other individuals, TBF Gaming and Mr. Species 7, have set up. Those are also awesome YouTube channels to pay attention to. Again, no competition. We're all having fun, and we're all in this together, as well as with you as well. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk again very soon. Thank you. Bye bye.